voice was the toughest job in the first Star Wars because there really wasn't a precedent in previous movies to judge, to see had anyone dealt with this creative problem before. You see, I was very interested in the legacy of sounds, since I was very familiar with sounds in the movies for the previous 40 years. And often when I create a new sound, I think of what's been done before, and do I like it, does it work, and try to build on that, capitalize on the legacy of certain things, so people already have some education in what you're doing. But nothing like that existed for a robot, although previous robots in movies had a voice, they talked English or maybe dubbed in Italian or French. And they might have a blinking light or a blinking a mouth that opens and closes. There was something that told you they were talking. But R2 is just this, like a drinking fountain or a trash can sitting there, no mouth, nothing. And so, how is this going to work? And it was a struggle for a long time. It was the longest term issue in making it. It was the last thing really completed before the movie had to be released. We just weren't sure it was working. Tried lots and lots of approaches. The script only just said that R2 is going to make electronic sound, a beep or a boop or something like that, not a pew. And so I tried many things. At that time there were on the market several early commercial synthesizers, the Moog, the ARP, a few of those, and I rented machines, tried things out. I figured that we could make electronic sounds would work, and I did make a lot of, tried to make expressive electronic sounds, but they seemed sort of dead. They didn't have a sense of life to it. And George Lucas would come by every few days to the room where I was working, which is the basement of his house. And he would, I'd audition things for him. I'd say, here's a possible R2D2, here's another one. He'd give his critique and suggestions, which were good. And we found that we were talking to ourselves about R2 and making the sounds ourselves. What do you think? He goes over, R2 goes over here and does this. We're like little boys making sound. And that gave us really the idea that, hey, why don't we just do something like that? Let's incorporate that performance into it. So I worked out a way to combine a vocal performance, which ended up being me, with the electronic, so that they melded together. It sounded like one voice, and the human input allowed a sense of feeling and performance. It gave R2 a sense of being alive, and that was the discovery. We weren't sure it was going to work. Some of the other people on the crew listening were sort of skeptical about this. And in that original film, it starts with R2 and C-3PO coming down a hallway talking in the middle of a battle with explosions, and neither one has a mouth. They're talking to each other, and there was a real worry that the audience would have no idea what's going on. It was just too abstract. But fortunately, we had a test screening of the movie right down toward the end, and it worked fine. The audience understood, and we were, of course, greatly relieved that R2 seemed to be understood. And that started that whole character from the beginning, and it led to many other robots as well.